Part 1.
With unwavering determination and expert skill, Jin Hyuk became the only one to complete the Tower of Trials epic finale. Now that the game has become a reality, Jin Hyuk has another opportunity to prove that a true gamer never gives up. Get ready for a tale of passion, persistence, and triumph. The story starts when a trashy VR game with absurd difficulty called Tower of Trials is recently released. After it was released, Korean gamers who had a hobby of finishing games earlier than developers anticipated them to start playing. But after 3 years, players realized the game was unbeatable. Players who still strive to play the game discovered that the Gate Guardian was practically invincible, and that floors like the Arctic and Labyrinth were almost impossible to complete. People started to say the game wasn't fun and was torture for the players. After the negative reviews, people began to stop playing the game, and it started to deteriorate, and most people forgot about it. But one player still didn't stop challenging this impossible and difficult game and conquered the 50th floor, becoming the first person to have cleared the Tower of Trials. Jin Hyuk couldn't believe he had cleared the last floor. He remembered how he felt accomplished after researching and practicing new ways to conquer the tower until it became second nature to him. That achievement was enough for him to spend 11 years on it. Jin Hyuk then wonders if he should have streamed his fight or if he should have just uploaded it to YouTube, since, even though the game was trash, the video might still get some views. Suddenly, the system screen appears, thanking him for playing and telling him a reboot update is planned in 12 hours. This message surprised Jin Hyuk since the game was not profitable for the company. Yet for Jin Hyuk, even if the game got a reboot update, he no longer intends to play this game and plans to quit his job as a streamer. Later at night, after taking off his VR headset, he starts his live stream and decides to tell his fans about his decision. But then he feels he should post an announcement about his resignation tomorrow, but he goes to sleep. In the morning, he thinks about uploading his video, in which he cleared the last floor of the Tower of Trials, but is shocked to see that the news of the Tower of Trials has become a reality. Suddenly, a system screen appears before him, displaying that the Tower of Trials and the first update have been completed. We then see that everyone gets a screen display saying that everyone must clear the next floor of the tower within 90 days, and if they fail, humanity will perish. Jin Hyuk tries to calm down and thinks he can't waste his time if the Tower of Trials is real, so he runs outside to level up. Later, in Central City, everyone panics and there is chaos everywhere, with people trying to leave the country to survive. On the other hand, Jin Hyuk rushes down to the underground mall because he remembers that this place was selected as an external zone in the Korean server. When he enters the external zone, the system screen shows that he is entering an event zone. Many other players were present. They were all those who had played the first part of the Tower of Trials, and they all had a guarded attitude toward one another. There, a man named Lee Jong-soo approaches Jin Hyuk and asks him if he is Kang Jin Hyuk. When he sees Jin Hyuk's face, he is sure and asks Jin Hyuk which floor he reached in the game. He also asks Jin Hyuk to tell him some secrets as a former coworker. Seeing him, Jin Hyuk remembers how Lee Jong-soo's company tricked many streamers into signing a slave contract. And when the streamers complained, their voices were silenced by his company's lawyers. Because of this, so many of Jin Hyuk's close friends left the gaming industry. Then Jong-soo tells him that he knows Jin Hyuk is a great player, and will rewrite his contract to be on better terms. Hearing this, Jin Hyuk gets mad and headbutts him, telling him that the world has changed. Jong-soo falls to the ground, bleeding, and he has lost 2 teeth. Suddenly, a giant tree grows out of the water fountain, and we see it is called the Mangrove of Greed. Then the fruit starts to grow from the tree, and each of the fruits can increase the player's stats. Jin Hyuk thinks the fruit's abilities are cool, but only 4 fruits are in total. Suddenly, everyone takes off, running toward the tree while pushing others to reach the fruit. Jong-soo gets mad at Jin Hyuk and tells him they could have benefited if he had worked with him, but now they won't get any fruit. Jin Hyuk tells him to shut up if he doesn't know anything and that now is not the time to rush after the fruit. After the participants break all 4 fruits, the tree roots start to attack everyone, forcing them to leave. Jin Hyuk and Jong-soo are the only ones remaining, and Jin Hyuk tells him that the real prize of this event can only be obtained after all the fruits have been eaten. Jong-soo thinks it's a good chance and asks Jin Hyuk for a plan. Jin Hyuk tells him they should charge from opposite sides simultaneously, and if one is in doubt, they will both die. Jong-soo assures him that he has played plenty of the game and is ready. Then Jin Hyuk runs towards the mangrove tree, but Jong-soo still stands in the same place when Jin Hyuk looks behind him. Jong-soo calls him a stupid idiot and asks why he will trust Jin Hyuk's words. He tells Jin Hyuk to go ahead and be the bait. At the same time, Jin Hyuk smiles and is glad that Jong-soo hasn't changed because the person who is the bait is the one who is furthest away. The tree root suddenly attacks Jong-soo and holds him tightly, killing him while he is still begging for help. After the tree roots attack Jin Hyuk, he dodges some and deflects others, which helps him damage the tree with its powers. This causes the core of the mangrove tree to be revealed, and the process is easy for him because it is the same experience he had in the game. Since this is an event mob, it doesn't even give experience if a player wins. All it does is give the player a place in the Hall of Fame at best. While Jin Hyuk is not afraid of the tree because it is something he has dealt with in the game before the reboot. As he keeps dodging, monsters known as sleep butterflies appear as a form of defense, and they scatter sleeping powder, but it is simple to stop them. Jin Hyuk needs to hold his breath, and when he arrives where the core of the mangrove is located, he takes it out. The system screen appears, telling him he is the first to defeat the mangrove of greed. Jin Hyuk is amazed at how his extensive pattern and timing research helped him this way, and he is grateful for all he has done so far. The system tells him his achievements will be recorded in the Hall of Fame and asks for his name. Jin Hyuk doesn't want to share his personal information, so he asks for confidentiality. The system sets his name as unknown, his face will be blurry, and his voice will change. Afterward, Jin Hyuk takes out the orb from the trunk tree, which can give 12 bonus stats. Jin Hyuk says nothing is more profitable on the 50 floors than this orb, and with this orb, he will become the strongest player at level 1. An hour later, the system uploaded the video of Jin Hyuk fighting with the mangrove of greed, stating that the mangrove had been cleared, and this left everyone amazed. Meanwhile, Jin Hyuk receives multiple proposals in his main account, each offering him 1 billion won to join their organization. Jin Hyuk has a flashback, and he remembers that living every day was a struggle. If he had received these offers yesterday, he would have accepted them immediately. But now he does not plan to share his knowledge, even for an offer of 1 or 10 billion won, because information monopoly is the most important thing. Later, we see that the mana leak from the Tower of Trials spread throughout Seoul from the moment the game rebooted. It did not have a significant effect, but there was a big change. The artifacts outside the tower became replicas of sacred artifacts. But of course, they were fake as the Legends artifacts were inside the tower. So Jin Hyuk came to the National Museum of Korea because it was a treasure trove with countless artifacts. When he arrives, he notices a burned corpse on the ground and thinks someone has already gotten there before him. Jin Hyuk is surprised at how quickly people get bold. He assumes they are here to get the big map of Far Eastland kept in the medieval classical era gallery. The Great Map is now imbued with magical energy and contains information about the first 10 floors of the Tower of Trials, which is why everyone wants it. However, the map is not the most important thing in the museum. Meanwhile, there is chaos inside the museum as everyone fights for artifacts. Then a huge guy arrives and tells them not to move, or he will kill them. He shows off his unique ability, which intimidates everyone except the old man and the women behind him. The old man tells him he can't agree with his words. The old man tells him his name is Min Young-woo, and he threatens to break the old man's neck since he didn't ask for explanations. The old man uses his fire magic to burn the huge guy and goes up the stairs, telling the woman named Lee Yuri to watch the area until he returns. Lee Yuri picks up an artifact, and after she activates it, it turns into a monster. She threatens the remaining people that they will become her enemies if they move. After the old man leaves, Jin Hyuk arrives, seeing the girl blocking his path with her artifact. He picks up an artifact that is on the ground. Lee Yuri gets angry after watching Jin Hyuk move freely, and she orders her monster to attack him. So, do you think Jin Hyuk will be able to defeat the monster?
Part 2.
After Jin Hyuk becomes the only one to complete the game Tower of Trials, the game becomes a reality, and humanity will be destroyed if a floor is not cleared by 90 days. Jin Hyuk has another opportunity to prove that a true gamer never gives up, and his journey to save humanity begins. The story continues as Jin Hyuk, having observed the attack approaching him, deflects the monster's spear easily, surprising everyone around. He tells her that her monster's weapon is gone, and what would she do about that? After seeing her unsuccessful attack, Lee Yuri used a replica skill to create 4 more artifacts to attack Jin Hyuk. Jin Hyuk noticed that she could control 5 artifacts with her mana pool, so she was not an average fighter, as was the old man who used fire magic. She tells him he is trying to act cool and she does not like him. He asks her if that's so and decides to show her the difference between them. Jin Hyuk used the artifact he had picked up earlier and injected mana into it, which caused a massive tiger to appear and destroy all of the other artifacts that Lee Yuri had been using with ease. She fell to her knees from the shock of losing to someone, and Jin Hyuk came up to her and asked for the mask of Tutankhamun. She tried to ask him a question, and Jin Hyuk called the tiger, using it to threaten her, so she gave him the artifact out of fear. She asks him if he is aiming for the great map of the Eastern lands, and he tells her not to worry. Jin Hyuk then tells his tiger artifact to guard this area so nobody can follow him. Upstairs, the old man was surprised about how Jin Hyuk got past Lee Yuri. Jin Hyuk, on the other hand, tells him that the 1-star rank barrier is blocking them. The old man says he has never seen a barrier like before as neither physical nor magical attack works on it. Jin Hyuk checks the barrier for the spot where the flow of mana diverges, which is the weak spot of the barrier, and finds it. He tells the old man he has a way to open it, but there is a condition. The old man needed to constantly use his flame magic on the barrier to make it weaker until he went inside and returned with all the necessary relics. Jin Hyuk said it was their only way. Otherwise, they would return empty-handed, and he also told him he would let him keep the map. The old man was convinced by Jin Hyuk and agreed to his terms. The old man used his flame magic on the barrier, and Jin Hyuk entered. He saw all the artifacts except the iron sword with Qianlong's inscription there. Jin Hyuk thought of a guy who could have taken the sword and used the barrier to block the entrance. Jin Hyuk found the other relics needed to make one of the Tower of Trial's strongest artifacts. After combining all the relics, he obtained the Eye of Truth, an SS rank relic that allows him to see other people's status windows and determine who is lying. After that, his main reason for coming here appeared before him. The system displayed a hidden quest that had been completed, and he had met the requirements and acquired the inherent ability of fusion. This allowed him to copy and store the numerous abilities in this world to combine them to create a stronger skill. These skills could make him the strongest in the Tower of Trials, but Jin Hyuk must complete the conditions for copying a skill. While he is thinking about his new skill, the old man tells him to hurry up, as he can no longer hold out the barrier for long. Jin Hyuk then decides to copy the old man's fire skill, and he sees that the copy condition for the old man's skill is to make the old man reveal his true feelings. Seeing the condition, Jin Hyuk smiled, as he only needed to piss off the old man. So Jin Hyuk told him there was no need for him to use his flame skill the whole time. Jin Hyuk disabled the barrier with Latin dispelling magic, which he had learned after entering the tower. Jin Hyuk informs the old man that he is wasting his mana, and that his magic reserves are probably empty. Jin Hyuk thinks he knows the tower thoroughly up to the 10th floor, so he doesn't need the map, as if someone else got the map, it could reduce the advantage of the knowledge that he had. He then burns the map in front of the old man, making him angry. The system display appeared, the condition had been met, and he successfully copied the element of fire B grade. The old man threatens to kill him, and he will pay for what he did. But Jin Hyuk asks him why he still doesn't understand why he burned the map. Jin Hyuk activates his new fire skill, whose power exceeds the old man's, and tells him that he should listen to him if he wants to climb the tower comfortably. After sorting things out at the museum, Jin Hyuk thinks he must gain as many abilities and skills as possible. Before leaving, he told the old man and Lee Yuri to level up and that he would contact them soon. He thinks of using them as pawns, but there is still a long way to go. He decides to set his priorities straight and get the abilities he needs, but as he thinks, his stomach rumbles, showing that he is hungry. Later, while eating, he saw the news about similar events in museums worldwide, including in America, Europe, Japan, and China. He noticed his museum fight video with Lee Yuri. However, the system interference blurred his face. The news also stated that the government was investigating the unidentified structure known as the Tower of Trials and had used government workers who had gained special powers to establish a new department called the Awakened Association. After that, Han Sangjin, the chairman of the Awakened Association, tells them that he's here to recruit them. The person will be given at least 60 million won in 7th class government benefits depending on their rank. He also mentions the person in the videos, tells him he's an exception and promises government assistance in any way if he joins. On the other hand, Jin Hyuk doesn't think much about the offer as he thinks they will treat him like a tool. Later, at 7 p.m., the Tower of Trials opened, and Jin Hyuk had already entered the tower by then. The system displayed that, as a celebration of entering the tower, they were given 100 coins. Coins are the currency that can be used within the tower. Players can upload videos that record their accomplishments and earn 100 coins for every 10,000 views. However, a premium charge will be based on the player's status. All players within the tower watching videos will only have their first 10,000 views. The live broadcast function can only be used when dealing with the boss to go to the next level. If one is manipulating view counts or using other forms of cheating, there will be adequate punishment. Seeing this, everyone starts running to find opportunities in the tower and make videos to earn coins. On the other hand, Jin Hyuk doesn't have any intentions of uploading a video first. Jin Hyuk then had a vision of the past when he was clearing the lower 30 levels of the tower. There was a time when he couldn't proceed any further. He needed to look for hidden pieces within the lower levels to go to the next level. He eventually discovered the solution in an abandoned ruin and realized that his character was flawed to begin with. So there, he deleted his character and started again. Jin Hyuk then arrives at the labyrinth's location and gets inside, but then finds a group of people who had followed him inside, intending to kill him to take all the rewards for themselves. The group leader tells him that while they were hunting, they noticed that the door to the labyrinth was opened, so they entered before it closed. The group leader asks if they could cooperate and clear the labyrinth together to share the risk. However, despite their disguise, Jin Hyuk was sure of their intentions. They all introduce themselves to Jin Hyuk, and when he uses the Eyes of Truth skill to view the group leader's stats, he sees that the girl named Park Hana has commune skills. The commune skill can naturally allow the user to befriend anyone, even strangers, as the skill can completely erase feelings of discomfort. So he checks the copy condition. He must stay with her for 240 hours. However, after 240 hours, no one must be nearby him or Park Hana. Jin Hyuk believes that the skill will be useful to him when dealing with a particular woman and decides to copy it. Jin Hyuk introduces himself to them, and Hana asks how far he has progressed in the game while using the commune skill on him. However, because Jin Hyuk was aware of the skill, he could avoid it becoming active on him. Jin Hyuk replied that he had gone as far up as he could, and she was surprised that the commune skill was not working since it should have been in effect. She then asks him what kind of monsters were in the labyrinth and their traits. Jin Hyuk then tells them the labyrinth will change at fixed intervals, and suddenly the terrain of the labyrinth changes, killing some group members as they were caught unprepared. The group was surprised by the labyrinth's terrain-changing ability, and Jin Hyuk asked them if they hadn't experienced a terrain-changing labyrinth at least once. The group members accuse him, and when one suddenly tries to attack him, a massive minotaur monster appears and attacks them. The group members begin running, but Jin Hyuk runs toward the minotaur monster and dodges its attacks. During this time, the system display indicates that he has obtained the hidden stat Rift. The Jin Hyuk's fate hangs in the balance as he faces off against the formidable minotaur monster. But that's not all. The mysterious hidden stat called Rift may hold the key to him becoming the strongest in the Tower of Trials. Is it an SS ranked skill or something entirely else?
Part 3.
After Jin Hyuk becomes the only one to complete the game Tower of Trials, the game becomes a reality, and humanity will be destroyed if a floor is not cleared by 90 days. Jin Hyuk has another opportunity to prove that a true gamer never gives up, and his journey to save humanity begins. The story continues as Jin Hyuk begins his fight with the Minotaur on the first floor labyrinth. He dodges the first attack and receives a hidden stat named Rift. Rift is a skill that reduces the stat difference between him and an opponent of a much higher level, but it also increases Jin Hyuk's stat power if he faces a weaker opponent. He tried several methods inside the game, but this was the only way he could find to challenge the upper levels. Here in the labyrinth, he has to dodge the Minotaur's attacks to improve his rift stats until full mastery. And so he starts to dodge every strike the Minotaur throws at him, as the Minotaur's attack pattern has already been etched into his body. His rift stats gradually increase as he keeps dodging. As Hana and her friends see Jin Hyuk dodging and battling the Minotaur, they are shocked by his skills, and they all think they are stupid to think they could kill someone like that and steal his rewards. After dodging the Minotaur's attacks, Jin Hyuk taunts it, saying, "Is that all it could do?" The Minotaur gets angrier, and we see that Jin Hyuk taunts it to get stronger by putting his life on the line and taking more risks. After a while, the labyrinth changes again, and the Minotaur appears on another side of the wall. Seeing this, Jin Hyuk decides to rest and tells the others that the luminescent moth dust he touched earlier attracts the Minotaur, so he'll keep chasing them. Hana asks him why he did it, and he replies that it increases his stats. He then tells them he will keep doing it for a month until they can exit the labyrinth. Furthermore, they must pay him a fee if they want to be protected. Jin Hyuk then sends them to collect some moss to make some beds and some firewood to make a fire. Afterward, he opens the system store and buys 4 items considered trash by other players. He then combines 3 of them and forges the Wheel of Fortune, an S-rank item. It's an item that increases his luck stat to the maximum for the next 10 minutes. Then he uses the 10 reinforcement scrolls he bought to reinforce his weapon. But the probability of a successful reinforcement is 1 in a million. He uses them on his old dagger and activates the Wheel of Fortune. The success rate increases to 100%, and he gets a +10 dagger. The system alerts him that he is the first to create a +10 reinforcement item in the Korean server, and he gets rewarded with 5,000 coins. 10 days have passed inside the labyrinth. The remaining group members are Hana and Shik. Hana tries to communicate with her guild members outside the tower on a group chat to see if they can find any information on Jin Hyuk. Still, most reported that his information was blocked as if he had been hacked. She is disappointed by their responses and asks if they have reported her situation to her big brother and the guild. They tell her that the guild is also investigating the situation, and it could take at least 3 weeks before they reach her. When Shik asks her about their response, she tells him they have no information. Soon, Hana tells Shik that they can kill Jin Hyuk and wait in the stone chamber until they are found by her big brother from the Crow Guild. But she doesn't know how to kill him. So, Shik gets up and tries to kill Jin Hyuk by hitting him on the head with a stone. But Hana stops him and says that Jin Hyuk's reaction speed is monstrous, and they have no chance of winning using a frontal or surprise attack, even if he's asleep. She then tells him that her brother has given her a deadly poison to kill 100 trolls with 1 drop. Later, Jin Hyuk wakes up, and they decide to eat their usual meal, roasted moss and mushrooms. Jin Hyuk eats the mushrooms. Before they start eating, Jin Hyuk asks Hana to pass him the water behind her, and he also asks Shik to give him more food. They are surprised and happy that Jin Hyuk wants more food. The 3 of them start eating, and suddenly Shik falls and dies instantly. This scares Hana, and she asks Jin Hyuk if he knows it is poisonous. Jin Hyuk tells Hana that he already knew about the poison, so when he asked them to give him more food, he switched plates with Shik while they were distracted. The Minotaur suddenly appears, and Hana gets scared and asks Jin Hyuk for protection. The system alerts him that he has completed the 240-hour requirement to copy her skill, and he gets her skill, Commune. Jin Hyuk tells her to protect herself and engages the Minotaur with his new dagger and fire skills. The Minotaur becomes infuriated by the damage and activates his level 10 Berserker skill. This skill increases the Minotaur's attack speed, power, movement speed, and intelligence by 30% for the next 5 minutes, enabling it to speak. The Minotaur threatens Jin Hyuk, telling him he will kill him so he can never enter the labyrinth again. They start fighting, but Jin Hyuk stops dodging and redirects the force of the attack. Hana is shocked by Jin Hyuk's monstrous strength and amazed when she sees him laughing in that situation. He always hated reality because, no matter what he did, he always felt stagnant and powerless. But this time is different. He can genuinely feel his growth and how the world responds to him. The 5 minutes quickly pass, and the Minotaur is suspended for 24 hours as a backlash for the Berserker skill. Jin Hyuk checks his Rift stat proficiency, which is 57. This closes the gap against someone 19 levels higher than him. But he still wants to use the remaining 20 days to reach 100 points. The 20 days quickly pass, and Jin Hyuk finally reaches 100 in his Rift stats. He then punches the Minotaur and kills it in one hit. Jin Hyuk asks Hana if she wants to be an intern at his veteran company, and Hana immediately agrees after looking at his threatening face. Jin Hyuk asks how she can help the company. Hana tells him she will give him Braham's ring, and he hires her after confirming with his skill that she isn't lying. The Braham's ring is an item found on the first floor that increases the wearer's movement speed and magic resistance and can even suppress the monster's magic power. Afterward, Jin Hyuk combines the commune and fire skills to make the tribulation skill brand a slave mark that forces someone to obey his orders. He quickly touches her face and leaves a mark before exiting. As they leave the labyrinth, the system announces that they are the first to clear the labyrinth on the first floor, and it will be recorded in the Hall of Fame. The system also gives them 5,000 coins as a reward. And although Hana is overjoyed at getting a reward for all her suffering, Jin Hyuk orders her to give him the coins, which she reluctantly does. Jin Hyuk asks her to get him Braham's ring within 3 days. While they were walking home, a news board displayed that the top guild of South Korea, Dangun, was planning to clear the 3rd floor with their strength, and without any assistance from any country. However, when Jin Hyuk hears this, he thinks they are too impatient to clear the 3rd floor. But he understands that they are impatient because they want to monopolize the resources in the tower, but they would regret their actions. After getting home, he starts to think that he needs people he can trust to support him during dungeon raids and decides to meet his former teammates while playing the game. He meets with Lee Taemin, who has the Machine King exclusive ability, and Yu Yeonhwa, who has the Kyokushin Taekwondo exclusive ability. He thinks that they are the best ones who can help him, as Taemin can easily deal with large-scale battles, and Yeonhwa can act as a close-range fighter and tank at the same time. The system display appears and informs him that he will get to copy their skills if they all manage to reach the 20th floor. The two explain to Jin Hyuk what happened during his time in the labyrinth, explaining every guild's course of action, streamers, and a group named demons who kidnap people to operate a coin factory. They further tell him about the mandatory test the Awakened Association created to prevent weak people from venturing into the tower and meeting their end. They tell him that since the Tower of Trials appeared, people have been flooding the place, and the number of casualties has increased since the 2nd floor. Jin Hyuk quickly realizes the association's chairman is using this method to recruit powerful people, hiding their power and planning to exploit it to the fullest. Having realized this, Jin Hyuk plans to exploit the system as much as possible. He arrives at the association building and is informed about how the ranks are divided, from F rank to S rank, and how those ranks can restrict their movements. Anyone below the F rank can only stay on the 1st floor, but someone with an S rank can go to the last floor. Furthermore, higher ranks also mean getting scouted by national level and high-ranked guilds. After Jin Hyuk and his friends enter the building, the crowd is stunned when the Park siblings of the Black Crow Guild, Park Hana and Park Hajin, also enter the building. They are also accompanied by Kim Kitty of the Fighting Father Guild, who threatens them not to mess up. While Jin Hyuk and his friends wait for him to take the test, someone tells him to move off the line, but he replies to the person, why should he move? Then suddenly, Park Hajin, Hana's brother, picks on him because Jin Hyuk didn't move out of the way. Hajin thinks he's a big shot because everyone calls him the future of the Black Crow Guild. As Jin Hyuk sees Hajin, he thinks that this must be the elder brother Hana always spoke of, so he activates his Eye of Truth skill on Hajin. He sees Hajin's skills, and the system informs him that he can copy one of the skills he wants if Hajin reaches maximum hostility toward him. Hana asks Hajin what's going on, and he points his finger at Jin Hyuk while trying to explain. She looks at the guy and notices it's Jin Hyuk, who grabs Hajin's finger and breaks it right away. Hajin curses in pain, but Jin Hyuk doesn't seem to care. That's it, guys. Now that Jin Hyuk has provoked Hajin, can he beat him? And even though he wins against Hajin, is he strong enough to beat Kim Kitty?
Part 4.
After Jin Hyuk becomes the only one to complete the game Tower of Trials, the game becomes a reality, and humanity will be destroyed if a floor is not cleared by 90 days. Jin Hyuk has another opportunity to prove that a true gamer never gives up. and his journey to save humanity begins. The story continues as Jin Hyuk grabs Hajin's finger and breaks it immediately. Hajin curses in pain, but Jin Hyuk doesn't seem to care. He dashes forward to attack Jin Hyuk, but he dodges him, making Hajin trip and fall. Everyone is surprised at how Hajin fell and twisted his ankle. Suddenly Hana sees Jin Hyuk and is shocked that he is there. Hajin's companion, Kim-tae, tries to talk to Jin Hyuk and tells him to stop. Noticing Kim-tae, Jin Hyuk activates his Eye of Truth skill, but he can't use it on him because of their difference in levels. Jin Hyuk then asks if Kim-tae is Hajin's babysitter, but Kim-tae replies that he has no choice since Hajin is a bit useful in some way. Jin Hyuk asks if it is because Hajin is supplying Korean ginseng to China, which surprises Kim-tae and everyone around. When Kim-tae asks how he found out, Jin Hyuk responds that it doesn't matter and then asks if Kim-tae's knowledge of the side effects of Korean ginseng. Suddenly Kim-tae tells him to stop talking and activates a level 3 blackout barrier. He tells Kim-tae about the secret he learned from Hana. He mentions the Korean ginseng being traded for Braham's ring. Then he proposes to Kim-tae to give him 10 of the monopolized dungeons in exchange for telling them where to find the mandragora needed to deal with the side effects of the Korean ginseng. And Kim-tae agrees. Hajin's anger soars to the maximum when Kim-tae chokes him for provoking Jin Hyuk, giving him a chance to copy any of Hajin's skills. He chooses shallow breathing, which allows the owner to control his breathing and heartbeat rate. Then he goes ahead to take the test necessary for climbing the tower. On getting to the test lab, the instructor explains that he is to strike one of the magic stones in the room to measure his potential and determine his rank. He chooses the mid-grade magic stone, a more difficult option when compared to the low-grade stones. With his dagger, he slashes it into 2 in one go. The instructor is dumbfounded because he never saw someone break a stone before. Jin Hyuk is placed in the S rank, but he tells the instructor to wait a week before reporting it to his superiors. Just as promised, Hana gives Jin Hyuk Braham's ring, and he goes off to take the second test. The requirement of this second test is to clear a dungeon, and the dungeon Jin Hyuk is going to clear has never been cleared before. This dungeon is called the Hall of the Depraved. Jin Hyuk is temporarily assigned an F rank and registers as a porter to enter the ruins. Their mission is easy: defeat the boss monster in the deepest part of the ruins and reclaim the throne. Before entering the ruins, Jin Hyuk receives an announcement from the system. The system will offer him more perks for being the only player to finish the Tower of Trials when it was a game. He gets plus 10 stats in luck and adaptive stat, Cold Heart status, enabling him to keep his composure during critical and tense moments, and another passive skill named Monopoly, which gives him the best possible loot if he clears dungeons solo. The raid team and porters quickly enter the ruins, led by Sun Chinhua. Jin Hyuk cannot fight as a porter and is tasked to give water and ice to the Europeans, who also join the raid with the group. He quickly uses his commune skill to befriend Teresa do Lourenço, one of the most famous players in Europe. Upon using his Eye of Truth, he finds out that he needs to save her from a dangerous situation if he wants to copy her exclusive skill, Blessing of the Star. Suddenly, they were informed that the ruins were aware of the raid's presence and would release the Guardians within 10 minutes. The leader still decided to fight instead of running, and everyone prepared to fight the Guardians. However, the raid leader decided to abandon the solo players because he thought they couldn't follow tactical instructions. Teresa was forced to run and save them while using her Sign of the Cross skill, burning all the Guardians surrounding the solo players. She notices 2 Guardians get past the guild members heading toward the porter location and runs to save them. At that same moment, one of the Guardians was already trying to take one of the porters down, but Jin Hyuk defeated it by setting it on fire. Jin Hyuk then moved toward the porter to help him get up, but Teresa arrived and noticed him holding his dagger. She quickly pulled the porter away from him, thinking he was why the Guardians were alerted to their raid. She claimed that she would arrest him and tried to attack him, but he dodged several hits and pinned her down. He pointed his dagger at her and revealed that she misunderstood the situation. The porter quickly told her that Jin Hyuk had saved him, and she apologized. She then asked him why he hid his identity if he was that strong, but he simply mentioned her secret quest and told her he needed something from the same place. He explained that he knew how to clear the dungeon and invited her to join him to complete their secret quests. She agreed to join him, and they headed to the item's location. Upon reaching it, Jin Hyuk noticed the place was protected by a magic barrier filled with undead monsters. He quickly explained to her his plan and how they should proceed. She then followed his instructions and jumped into the middle of the undead group, activating her Song of the Warrior's skill, which increased her stats by 3 for the next 10 minutes. She started releasing her divine powers, turning the undead monsters into chaos and slashing them with her sword. Suddenly, the hidden undead of the ruins, the elite Lick, appeared. Jin Hyuk tricked the Lick into using his black lightning to destroy the magic barrier, enabling them to access their desired item's location. He then prepared to fight the Lick, but someone suddenly appeared and slashed it in half. The guy stepped forward and told Jin Hyuk it had been a while since they met, but the latter didn't even remember who this random guy was. The guy is surprised that Jin Hyuk doesn't remember me. Then Jin Hyuk activates his Eye of Truth skill. He sees the guy's name is Chun Yusung, and the system tells him the condition of copying Yusung's skill is to defeat him using the sword, which Yusung believes in the most. Jin Hyuk then recognized the sword the guy was using as the missing artifact, the Kyan Long sword, from the National Museum of Korea. He quickly remembers that if Yusung has the sword, he is the person in the game who kept challenging him to a duel because Yusung doesn't know how to admit defeat, and has an extreme warrior concept. Yusung becomes angry that Jin Hyuk doesn't recognize him, and just because the game became a reality, Jin Hyuk only recognizes him as a stalker. Yusung once again challenges Jin Hyuk to a fight and tells him that this time will be different as they are starting from the beginning. Jin Hyuk says he has no issue fighting him but asks if he will be okay. He also tells him that his comrade will also attack if he does. Seeing that the Saintess is also present, Yusung decides not to allow anyone to intrude in their fight and activates his battlefield selection skill to transport them to another location. Noticing that something weird would happen, Jin Hyuk quickly grabbed the demonic soul pill from the Lick sarcophagus, told Teresa he would see her later, and teleported to Yusung's battle location. After both appear on Yusung's battlefield, Yusung tells him that no one will bother them. He uses his one-on-one skill to buff his stats by 10% while reducing Jin Hyuk's stats by 10%, putting the situation at Jin Hyuk's disadvantage. Suddenly, the system detects an overwhelmingly disadvantageous situation and activates Jin Hyuk's fusion skill with a special condition enabling him to copy a skill without fulfilling any conditions. Seeing this, Jin Hyuk quickly chooses to copy Yusung's unique ability, the Song of Swords skill, which will increase his understanding of swords by 200%. They start evenly clashing their weapons, but Yusung is angry that Jin Hyuk is able to block all of his attacks easily. As Yusung exchanges attacks with Jin Hyuk, he notices that Jin Hyuk's attack pattern has changed from a mid-range to a close-range fighting style, and he is using a dagger. Jin Hyuk tells him that the dagger is enough to use against him, making Yusung even angrier. Yusung begins using his soul-chasing sword energy skill, which surprises Jin Hyuk. He asks Yusung why he would be using a skill like that for a swordsmanship beginner, and Yusung replies that Jin Hyuk calling himself a beginner is bullshit. Seeing that the dagger will break if he uses it against the sword's energy, Jin Hyuk decides to create one strong enough. He then uses the demonic soul pill and fuses it with the Song of Swords, creating the Grave of Swords SS rank skill, and increasing his understanding of swords by 500%. When he is done with the fusion, Yusung is shocked by the unbelievable strength that Jin Hyuk is emitting. Yusung analyzes that everything should be in his favor since he is on an ideal battlefield, and Jin Hyuk isn't even using his specialty, mid-range combat. However, he is still puzzled about why he can't win and surpass Jin Hyuk. Unable to accept that Jin Hyuk is stronger than him and can't win, he attacks again more ferociously, and Jin Hyuk slashes his sword energy into two. Jin Hyuk then attacks and defeats Yusung instantly, displacing his sword from him. After, Jin Hyuk says he has won again, but he is still determining how many times this makes it. However, Yusung replies that this is the 138th time. The defeated Yusung feels humiliated and asks Jin Hyuk to end his life, but Jin Hyuk tells him the next time will be the 139th time, which surprises Yusung. Jin Hyuk advises him to be careful since the Tower of Trial is dangerous. Then, we see that Jin Hyuk uses the commune skill on Yusung, and decides to spare him so he can copy more of his skills in the future since it takes 60 days to copy another skill from the same person, and Yusung will come to re-challenge him. Yusung tells Jin Hyuk that he has lost this time, but the next result will be different, and Jin Hyuk replies that he will look forward to it. The battlefield selection then deactivates, and they are teleported back to their initial location. As Yusung leaves, he asks for Jin Hyuk's real name, but Jin Hyuk says they don't have that kind of relationship. Yusung agrees and tells him he will call him by his original name, Poop Fart. That's it, guys. Now that the battle with Yusung is over, Jin Hyuk and Teresa are still trapped in the dungeon. Do you think they will be able to defeat the dungeon boss?
Part 5.
After Jin Hyuk becomes the only one to complete the game Tower of Trials, the game becomes a reality, and humanity will be destroyed if a floor is not cleared by 90 days. Jin Hyuk has another opportunity to prove that a true gamer never gives up, and his journey to save humanity begins. The story continues as the scenes shift to the assault team. While leaving the labyrinth, they are taken aback when they sense some magical power ahead of them and discover that some monsters are still alive. As they examine the situation, an iron golem suddenly appears, which surprises them. However, someone is standing on top of the golem, and they immediately identify him as a high-ranking vampire. After greeting them, he reveals himself to be Bellis, a bloodkin who works for Progenitor, the owner of these ruins. The hunters ask him his reason for coming, and they are defensive since the entity in front of them isn't friendly. Bellis notices their commander and proposes to him two choices. Bellis tells him that he is offering them the choice of following him without resistance, and suddenly Bellis activates the Bloodfist skill. Blood starts gushing out of the hunters' bodies, and he tells them that half of them will become his lunch. Meanwhile, in the labyrinth, Jin Hyuk acquires the Frozen Tear, an SSS rank item that raises his magic level by 12. He is amazed at his fortune in obtaining it with the Demon's Soul Stone. Suddenly, the system notifies Teresa of an offer from the Hall of the Depraved's owner to come rescue the assault squad. She says she must go but breaks down in fear because she isn't sure she can defeat the Progenitor, and wonders whether she could have defeated the enemy with her assault squad. While Teresa is contemplating her chances, Yusung chooses to leave because he has nothing to do with her or her squad. But before he leaves, he reminds her that no one in the world is as powerful as Jin Hyuk, and her only hope right now is to rely on his assistance. Realizing this, she swiftly seeks Jin Hyuk's assistance, to which he replies that his commission will be costly. Because she is willing to do anything, she offers him all her coins, and the two arrange an agreement. As they approach the gate, Jin Hyuk notices Teresa's intense expression and promises her that he has a strategy to beat the enemy. As they go in, the devilish Progenitor, whose real name is Alice von Ataraxia, is sitting on her throne, bored of waiting for them. She tells Jin Hyuk that she invited him because the scent of his blood, which is sweeter than that of other humans, arouses her. Alice misinterprets Jin Hyuk's suspicious expression for fear, thinking she has already gained an advantage by frightening off her opponent. However, when Jin Hyuk declines her offer of being her slave for 60 years, her expression shifts to cruelty, and she immediately attacks him. Alice declares he has no say in the issue since her words are final. Jin Hyuk, on the other hand, shocks her by offering her something tastier than human blood. She is skeptical since human blood is the sweetest nectar for a vampire. However, he abruptly tells her that she will be granted freedom. Enraged by his statements, the whole palace bursts into anger because a human uttered such an absurd assertion. When she insists that he accept responsibility for whatever he says, Jin Hyuk declares himself to be a representative of demonic humans and swears to take her away. Demonic humans are people who have forsaken their humanity for different reasons and have prevented players from ascending the tower, even joining the ruins monsters. Jin Hyuk instructs her to contact the temple on the 27th level for adequate attention. Teresa is perplexed and doesn't understand the discussion, and she is startled that the demons are trembling when the temple is mentioned. Jin Hyuk persuades Alice that he is speaking the truth, yet she still does not trust him. Instead, she responds that anyone may have resolved to accomplish something that no one has ever done. She uses her blood spears to assault him. Teresa realizes this and rushes to his side, activating her sacred reinforcement shield and stopping Alice's attacks. When the opponent responds with an even more powerful strike, Teresa trusts Jin Hyuk to stop it, but to her astonishment, he stabs her from behind. He has no option but to betray his colleague to gain Alice's confidence, and he successfully does so. After she is persuaded, he unveils the 7-star spell, Brahm's Ring, which fools the barrier entrapment and allows her to exit the imprisoned floor. Because the ring requires level 1, Jin Hyuk refrained from accumulating experience and remained at level 1. Alice tells her confidant, Bellis, to kill Jin Hyuk in case something goes wrong before she can offer her soul to him. Jin Hyuk suddenly reveals that the ring will be her new home, betraying her, and the ring's special ability, Blessing of the Star, activates, entrapping Alice and enabling him to revive Teresa. Jin Hyuk revives Teresa, and the two faces off against their enemy, Bellis. He quickly confronts Jin Hyuk and uses his magic. On the other hand, Teresa uses her skill to free the assault team from the captivity of the demons. When Jin Hyuk counters his magic, Bellis is surprised that a human can withstand it. Since victory was assured for Jin Hyuk the moment he sealed his master, he is now fighting for his life. However, wasting no time, Bellis quickly summons his sword because magic isn't working against Jin Hyuk, vowing to defeat Jin Hyuk. Wiping off the remaining enemies is easy for Jin Hyuk, and he easily defeats the remaining ones. Impressed by his abilities, everyone asks Teresa about his identity, but she informs them that he is a stranger she happened to meet on her way. She tells them this because she thinks Jin Hyuk doesn't want people seeing his face. Since he helped Teresa defeat the enemy, the system informs him about successfully copying her skill, Blessings of the Sky. When he is thinking of collecting the artifacts, the assault team leader, Chinhua, informs him about the artifacts belonging to the guild, and instead, they will give him as much money as he wants. Jin Hyuk is infuriated with his demand but lets him slip by, and as he touches one of the materials, he begins feeling a curse throughout his body. Since Jin Hyuk is alive, all the divine artifacts are imbued with curses, and an ordinary hunter cannot even touch them. Meanwhile, outside the ruins, the department members are ready to send support toward the Belhe Guild members inside. However, as they are about to move, a notification appears about the ruins being cleared, taking everyone by surprise. The assault team comes out first, led by the Belhe Guild, Chinhua, whose head is now looking shiny without any hair. As Teresa comes out, she quickly informs them about Jin Hyuk's assistance, and everybody begins cheering for him. Since his appearance as the masked player, the entire social media has erupted with questions regarding his identity. As he scrolls the internet, he is glad he didn't reveal his face to the public and recalls Teresa's words about keeping his identity secret. Suddenly, Alice, trapped in the ring, shouts about him betraying her. Annoyed by her, Jin Hyuk begins swinging the ring, making her dizzy and begging him to stop. After playing with her for 3 hours, he finally decides to release her. Wasting no time, she announces that she will have her revenge, but she is heavily disappointed when Jin Hyuk tells her that he only released a portion of her power, and that she is only the mini version of herself in her current state. This causes her to cry like a little kid, though he assures her that he will help her defeat everyone who betrayed her and claim her position as the head of the Ataraxia clan in exchange for helping him. After the video of him defeating Bellis is uploaded online, everyone begins to praise him. Jin Hyuk decides to visit the guild trying to kill him, and confronts their boss, who is scolding his subordinate for failing to kill Jin Hyuk. He casually walks in, and their boss, Shin Jian-soo, points his sword at him. However, this backfires, and Jin Hyuk shatters his weapon. Jian-soo asks if he is here for revenge since they tried to kill him. Jian-soo also asks him if that is why he is attacking and causing havoc in the entire building. However, Jin Hyuk flicks a stone at him with magic, injuring him. He quickly begins preaching about how revenge is bad and that the havoc he has caused is enough. Seeing that Jin Hyuk is adamant about taking revenge, Jian-soo threatens Jin Hyuk, saying that over 50 ranks are in the guild, and if he should kill him, they will chase him to the ends of the earth to avenge him. Jin Hyuk sees right through his lies and counters them with his logic. Jin Hyuk tells him he will forgive him, and he sends Jian-soo flying from the building using magic stones. After killing Jian-soo, Jin Hyuk informs Hajin, who is unconscious, that he spared him because of his sister and that he should stay out of his way. Suddenly, Jin Hyuk tells a guild member, pretending to be dead, to introduce himself. Jin Hyuk tells him to show him that he is useful, and that he will let him live. The guy introduces himself as Kim Hee-won, a secretary tasked with managing the general business of the Black Crow Guild, and assures Jin Hyuk that he can get any job done. Jin Hyuk tells him he is impressed, and he informs him that he will leave the running of the Black Crow Guild to him since it will be a shame to destroy one of the leading guilds. This shocks Kim, but Jin Hyuk says he will maintain the outer appearance. However, Kim says no one will follow him because the high-ranking members would probably refuse to follow a secretary. Realizing this, Jin Hyuk assures him he will send someone else to solve the matter. Meanwhile, in the following scene, we see a top-rank member of the Black Crow Guild receiving a message that all members should return and gather for an emergency meeting. When he arrives at the guild building along with other ranked players, they are surprised by the huge gathering outside the building. That he sees the dead body of the guild master, and he is surprised about who sent the emergency meeting order. He quickly rushes in and sees Kim sitting in the guild master's chair. He is about to attack Kim, but Kim dodges and asks Kim to tell him everything that happened without leaving any detail. Kim says new consignees have come, but the guy is confused about what he is saying. Suddenly, Alice appears, and when he calls her a child, she erupts in anger, causing an explosion. Noticing the explosion at the top of the building, Jin Hyuk is tired because he told Alice to take care of the building, but she caused an explosion. After Jin Hyuk receives a message, he leaves for the Awaken Association to accept his rank since no more restraints bind him, and now is the time for him to monopolize everything. So, that's it guys. So, why do you think Jin Hyuk didn't destroy the Black Crow Guild? Does he have an ulterior motive? Also, his plan to monopolize everything will surely put him against the Awaken Association. Can he fight against the government? Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to be the first to find out what happens.